All right, let's make a start. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. As part of the Graduate Week, we are hosting a webinar where there will be people joining us. Sure, as we push on through this session, but hopefully the tech is going to work and it's going to be on our side today. And we'll be able to get through this session. We've got some great speakers joining us as part of this webinar. You certainly don't want to hear too much from me at the front end, but what I would like to do before we get stuck into the detail is talk a little bit about what the industry and what the sector is going through at the moment in terms of potential growth, and then get down to the detail and really talk to the people that will have something interesting to tell you with regards to what their role looks like. So if we can just go back one, please, Becky, and just go through that agenda. So there's quite a lot to get through. My name's Steve Barrett. I'm Director of Membership and Strategic Engagement here at Energy and Utility Skills. I'll be hosting the session and hopefully glue each element of this together. We're then going to, after I've done a little bit of position here from FCC Environment and Scottish Power, and talk to graduates and both their organisation representatives and graduates about their experience in the sector. And then later on in the session, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A. And we'll be able to run that through the Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, please do pop them into that Q&A box, and hopefully we shall get to them throughout the session. I would like this to be as interactive as we possibly can, so please do, if you have any questions as we're going along, please do pop them into the Q&A session, and then we can mop that up at the end, any questions which are answered. I'll be trying to get to those as I go through this session, but I do have a team of people which sit behind this as well that can prompt me in the right direction if I don't spot those questions. So that's what the agenda looks like. We should be finished at 1 o'clock sharp. As I say, please do get involved in the discussion as we go through this session. So if we just move on to the next part then, Becky, thank you. So in terms of the industry then, what does that look like at the moment? Well, energy and utilities industry, right the way across water, power, gas, and waste and recycling industries, there are significant opportunities coming up. There are challenges around skilling, upskilling, resourcing, attracting the right people to industry to make sure we have a diverse and inclusive workforce representative, that represents the customers that we serve. And as part of this preparation, as part of this our engagement with industry, we need to kind of measure how big the challenge is. So I'm going to run through a few numbers now, and I don't be alarmed by these numbers. I think in terms of what we're doing as an industry to address some of these workforce challenges is part of this engagement, certainly engaging with graduates and apprentices, and also people that are looking to move industry as well. So I wouldn't like to put people into a specific category. So let's have a look at what those numbers look like. So we just move on to the next slide, please, Becky. So our workforce demand estimate. So by 2030, we know we're going to need a lot of people. And to be exact, we're looking at about 312,300 new people into the workforce. So what does that look like as it breaks down through those through each of those categories? Well, there'll be 205,000 new jobs. That's up 32% on our current workforce number. So where we are today, there'll be a 32% increase. Now, what's that being driven by? Largely by some of the challenges which we're having around greening our energy system. So looking at renewables industry, moving away from fossil fuels. We're also looking at things like carbon capture, utilization and storage. We're looking at things like hydrogen, smart metering implementation programs. We're looking at some of the challenges which I guess you'd think of as less traditional in things like carbon capture, utilization and storage, which is around chemical engineering and what the future requirements are across that side. We also look at the different scales of category of people we should like to come in. So at what qualification level? So there are graduate roles, but there are also entry level roles, and looking at the entire skills system to be able to support that. As you look at the numbers which we go on, then we're looking at 106,800 retirements. So people, 17% of the current workforce will be retiring. We often talk about the workforce which we have at the moment being quite dominated by male, not very diverse workforce, but we are certainly looking to change that as we go forward. And many of the initiatives which we have running or in place at the moment about measuring diversity and working with senior representatives within organisation is about driving that agenda and making sure we are getting the right workforce of the future. So there's a couple of graphs at the bottom there. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but you can see right the way across gas networks utilization. So that's the gas engineer that comes into your home. On the power side, we're looking at transmission and distribution, so the big power lines, but also around power generation as well. So that does include things like renewables and more traditional methods of power generation. Also on the waste and recycling part of that component is around providing energy from waste. So a big enabling technology around that is going to be around carbon capture and what that means for the future. You would have seen things in the news about making sure that we are driving that transition to net zero. So that's going to be a critical element as we go forward. And also water. So water, that's clean water and water and sewage. So that's going to be a huge component. And not only is that going to be a critical element of what we're doing going forward about making it sustainable, mitigating the risk of climate change, etc. The water industry is a significant user of the energy which we have out there at the moment. So making sure that that has a drive towards net zero and mitigating that risk of climate change is going to be really important as well. So we know that the challenges are out there. We know that the numbers are significant. What are we going to do about that? If we move on to the next slide, a little bit more detail around these numbers. Something around the occupational headlines. You would have seen perhaps some of the perhaps in the press around the sorts of people which we're looking for. Well, if you look at the graph on the right-hand side, it talks about the qualification level. So looking at 7 and 8 in that graduate, right the way down to entry level, level 1, or if you're in Scotland, level 4, and likewise up to level 7, 8 in England, and the qualification Scottish framework is up to 11, 12. So there's a good mix of people that we need right the way across the industry. It's roughly about a 50-50 split. So people required into the sector, about 312,300, that bottom number there, 162,000 people, or 52% will be below that level 3, and then everyone else above. So it's a real good mix. But what it does tell us is that we do need people from coming out of university. We do need people that are coming in from other industries to be able to fill those more skilled roles, but also on the technical side. So apprenticeship programs are going to be really important as we carry out this transition to net zero and making sure we have got the right skills in place. There are specifics down the in the top area there. So science, research, engineering, technology professionals, business and public service associate professionals, and skilled metal, electrical, electronic trade. So you can see there's a real good mix of those types of roles that we're going to be looking at. And then around the occupations need to attract the highest number of new people into the workforce. Again, science, research, engineering, technology professionals, right the way down to corporate managers and directors. So there's a real good mix of where they're coming from. Part of that is going to be around the graduate engagement and making sure we are attracting a very diverse workforce, but also coming in at the right levels. If you think about the infrastructure or the critical national infrastructure, energy and utilities is a significant component of that, and therefore delivering that is going to be really important. So we need people from all walks of life. So that gives us a bit of an idea about what that future workforce is going to look like. What I'd like to do now, if we move on to the next slide, please, Becky, is to get to the people that really count, and we have some industry presentations to share with you now. And the first one we're going to move to is, if we move on to the next slide, please, is we're going to be talking to FCC, and Gladys is going to give us a quick overview of what's going on in FCC before we hear from a couple of graduates as well within industry. So I'll hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this short presentation from FCC. We are delighted to be here to be able to take this opportunity to reach out to you all. As Stephen has just sort of demonstrated, we are absolutely in need of getting on your radar as far as your future careers are concerned. And there's lots of reasons for that. But a little bit about me, first of all. I've been in the waste industry for about 20 years now. I've got a very young family behind me, lots of wonderful grandchildren, and I wouldn't be sitting here safe in my boots if I knew that the job that I did wasn't supporting the future of my own grandchildren. So I want to bring my presentation with a passion for the waste industry first and foremost. It is a really important, valued and valuable career. There is always going to be waste of some level, and we need some very good people to sort of pick up the mantle and run with the way in which waste and resources are managed going forward. So like I say, I've held lots of different roles within the waste industry. Started off working with schools and very young children, talking about recycling and what to put in their bins at home. Moved on through into business management, key account, major account management as well. I've also done training. I've looked after the EU Skills Competence Management Scheme, making sure that our people are competent in the workplace to deliver the essential measures that make us compliant when we're dealing with our waste and resources as well. And most recently, I've joined our training department, our early careers and development department, where I now look after our graduates, our apprentices, and also our upskilling of our existing workforce too. And I share that with you because first and foremost, I want to present the diversity within roles within the waste industry. That's just me. So you can imagine there are lots of people who work in the waste industry who have got similar backgrounds to me, that actually are completely different because they've followed different pathways. And that's really what I want to push home today. So next slide, please. Okay, so why do we actually want to bother with early careers at all? Why do we want to upskill people? As a business, it sounds like a lot of hard work. It sounds like a lot of investment in time and money. So why would we bother? Why don't we just carry on as we're doing now? But if you think about what Steve has just delivered in his slides, we have got an exceptional workforce that are holding a great deal of expertise. But there's a huge percentage of our workforce that is heading into retirement. So we need to do something about that to ensure that we're not left dangling. As a business, FCC plans to be here long into the future. As an industry, it's important that companies like FCC are here too. And so in a way, your future as young people also depends on our success as well. So succession planning is what we're looking at within FCC to ensure that we get young people without any age barriers, but people who can come in and bring in a new way of looking at things. You're much more likely to be up to date with the newest technologies. You bring the potential of new innovation, for instance, and that, along with upskilling and promoting our own employees who are already working with us, is the key to our future and the key to our achieving our future goals. So it's a really important time for you at this moment. I wish I was a bit younger because the opportunities to get on board with the green economy and everything that's going on is a fantastic opportunity, actually. So I am a little bit jealous. I shall be heading out into retirement within the next few years as well. And I'd like to see that we are leaving it into, some really safe and well-prepared hands, shall we say. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one question for you. Are you ready to create that greener future? Are you committed to making a change in not only the way that you live and, the waste and resources that you generate or use, Are you ready to get on board with it in the same way in which we are? And hopefully today, not only myself, but the other presenters on today's webinar will inspire you to get involved as well. Yeah, we want you on board, and we want you certainly inspired by what you hear today. Okay, next slide, please. It's a little bit tricky for the waste industry because it's all about crisp bags and bean tins, isn't it? Or is it? And that's the key message that we have to try and get across to people, whether we're talking to children at Key Stage 1 or whether we're talking to people like yourselves who have gone off to university, already have your qualifications under your belt. I expect a lot of you haven't even considered a role within the waste industry. So my job, my role within FCC is to break down those barriers, reach out to you and try and get you to understand that it is much, much more than crisp bags and bean tins. This is, as I say, a valuable career that is hugely valued right across, everything that we do. So don't dismiss us, is what I'm saying. There are so many opportunities within the waste industry, not just for FCC, but right across the industry as well. So don't write us off. Give us a look. And we may very well be the career that you are looking for, so to speak. So how do we do that then? Next slide, please. So it is about breaking down those myths and those legends and trying to get people to understand what we actually do. Yes, we move waste. We don't make waste. That's the first key thing that young people have to understand. We don't make the waste, we manage it. And we manage it very, very well. And we've got lots and lots of different processes for the different types of waste that we pick up and we manage for society within the UK. And our key goal is to utilise that waste in different ways that is the best model for that particular type of waste. So recycling, you've all heard about recycling, you've all heard about composting, but there's many, many other processes that are out there, including green energy. That's energy that we generate from waste streams. The opportunities for engineers in all of those processes is huge. The opportunities for project management, for managers, for supervisors, for HR people, you name it, it is an absolutely diverse industry for you to consider when you're thinking about what you want to do next. And I suppose another key message from that is whatever you choose to do next, it is only step one of the rest of your career. So, it's important that you do take a look at the waste industry, see what we're about, see what we do, and try and work out what type of role we might be able to offer for you. Next slide, please. So turning that imagination into climate action. And again, Steve has already mentioned lots of statistics at the beginning of this webinar. We are definitely committed to, doing our bit as far as making a change as far as the climate is concerned, making big steps into net zero. And we've got definitive goals that we are hoping to achieve, and our graduates that are on the call today are going to talk to you a little bit more about that as we go. But we can't do that without the imagination of young people coming on board. Yes, we've got expertise in the business. We know what we are doing today. We do it pretty well, actually. But what's the next step? What's the next innovation? What is the next way of dealing and managing with these different types of materials? How are we going to improve even further? And that's when we look to people like yourselves who have got that drive, that passion to be the best that you can be and to make a difference in the world. So, you know, really important stuff that we are getting involved in. Next slide, please. So lots of little pictures on here, but just a little snapshot of the types of roles that you know we can offer at all stages of anybody's career, whether you're into process management, health and safety, whether you're into IT, whether you're into sales or customer service, HR, whether you know like playing with the big yellow toys and you know the trucks that roll around here, there and everywhere, whether you're into environmental protection, whether you're into finance or whether you're into design, engineering and those types of things. We have everything under the FCC umbrella. There will be something for you regardless of what it is that floats your boat. So again, you know, a fantastic opportunity. Give us a look. Don't, you know, overlook us because we are crisp bags and bean tins. We're much more than that. Next slide, please. So what makes our careers, what makes our jobs so great? We have got an ever decreasing carbon footprint. We do use our resources efficiently, whether that's the waste that we are managing or whether it is as a business and our own processes, our own use of energy. We are constantly looking to that to improve efficiencies right across the board. We are socially inclusive and we take pride in our responsibility for everything that we do. It's an industry that is monitored, it is watched, it is looked at, it is audited, and the results that we achieve as a company are really quite exceptional. And we're proud of that. So even though we are a waste management company, you know, everything that we do is done sustainably and responsibly as well. And of course, as you'll find out from our grads who are going to be speaking today, everything that you learn with us contributes to transferable skills. So your own progression, your own diversification in your career is just set up as, you know, a foundation for who you are. And you can take what you learn from our apprenticeships, from our graduate programs, and you can roll with it. You can take it wherever you want to be within your career. And that's what you get, not only from FCC, but also from the waste industry as well. Next slide, please. So supporting early careers and making sure we secure that new talent, making sure that we look after our future as a business and as an industry. We do believe that it is all about education. You know, you've heard it before, education, education, education. But we take it very, very seriously. And as a company, we have invested greatly in what we're doing to attract young people. We do our graduate programme, which is an 18-month programme. Usually you have 2 placements, so you get 2 lots of different experience. But over that 18 months, you'll learn about how you can manage a business, you can contribute to what goes on, how you can look after the environment, how you can look after finances and everything else that goes in between. So the graduate programme is a really good option for anybody that's looking for a placement. We've got potentially 8 places coming up for 2025, and we'll be looking to advertise them between now and January. Just watch our space on our website. You'll be able to pick it up from there. Should you be interested, I really hope you are. We also run our apprenticeships, and that can be for upskilling our existing employees. It doesn't matter what your age is, and apprenticeship 1 is apprenticeship 1. Doesn't have to stop there. You can do as many apprenticeships with us during your career and your employment with us as well. We also offer debt-free degrees where young people can come in after they've achieved an A-level at grade C, and they can come and apply for our Chartered Manager's Degree apprenticeship as well. So it's debt-free, you get paid while you're learning and paid while you're getting your degree, and we fund that degree, so there is no student debt at the end of it. We're also very much pushing our work experience opportunity and our industry placements as well, specifically because these tend to be younger people, and our idea is that we get FCC and the waste industry onto that careers radar at the earliest of opportunity. So the engagement with schools is really important. We're looking to do all that we can right across the social community, all across the UK, and hopefully we can find a place for somebody who shows that interest in our industry. So that succession planning and looking at alternative routes to employment, it's crucial for us. So we've been busy over the last year, and we intend to maintain that interaction and that engagement as much as we possibly can. We have invested in our resources so we can go out on the road and present what we can offer. And of course, we contribute to the Growth and Skills Levy, the apprenticeship scheme. So we've got a fund there, a large fund there that we are absolutely committed to using to teach our young people as well. Next slide, please. So this is just a little snapshot of what we've been up to out on the road, whether it's agricultural shows, whether it's graduate events, apprenticeship weeks, whether it's our graduate scheme and getting people out on the sites and experiencing different types of activities and operations that we do. It's exciting stuff, exciting times, and hopefully you'll see us at some point at an event. But I'm always available should you want a discussion about your careers as well. So I open myself up to anybody today too, if you want to have those discussions. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we've talked about graduates, apprenticeships, industry placements, work experiences, but once you're in, there is also an in-depth individual development scheme that we employ. So, we're constantly supporting people to reach their full potential. That's our aim. And we do that in different ways. We've got an excellent learning and development team that sits behind us. We run our competence management scheme in line with the EU skills standards for competence management. And so we are really committed to ensuring people reach their full potential within FCC. Next slide, please. So just a little quick overview about the postgraduate programmes. As I said, they're usually 18 months. There are 2 placements over 2 different locations. As an example, you might do 9 months in a recycling facility and then another 9 months somewhere else, perhaps either looking at energy from waste or within one of our support departments. As part of the programme, you have to present to our board of directors on 3 separate occasions. They will set you a project to do, and hopefully you'll come up with some interesting ideas that can be taken forward into FCC's future. We do offer relocation support for that particular programme. So if you do move around and you need new digs from the ones that you've had for university, we will support that with a living allowance as well. And if you're going into one of our operational process roles, engineering roles, there is also your placement is also supported by 15 weeks at one of the leading academies in the UK for engineers, where you'll get to pick up that practical experience before we let you out in the workplace, so to speak. So it's a really good programme to get on board with. And like I say, it's a huge investment from FCC as well. So we're very proud of what we're doing as far as our graduates are concerned. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the Chartered Management Degree Apprenticeship, it is debt-free. You do learn while you earn. You also get ahead of the competition because, yes, you'll end up with a degree at the end of it. You won't have the burden of that student debt, but you'll have hands-on workplace experience, and you get access to all of that invaluable teaching, that mentoring, that coaching that comes from the experts within the waste industry field. So that programme lasts between 3 and 4 years. You come out with a level 6 degree qualification. There is also membership of the Chartered Managers Institute as well. And yes, you get to throw the mortarboard in the air when you get your degree, and you get, your parents or your close kin to come down to watch the experience with you as well. So it is a normal degree in every which way. Okay, next slide, please. So we have on our wish list, we're not stopping here. We do want to improve. We want to get out more with young people. We want to ensure that you've got the facts and not just listening to other people and what they think about waste without actually knowing about waste. The more we can get out and the more people that we can speak to is certainly on our agenda. We want to ensure that the levy funds that we've paid into are utilised to the maximum effect. So even if you come to us on the graduate programme, there's nothing stopping you from continuing your learning with continuing apprenticeships as well in whatever field that is suitable to you and within the waste industry. So we want to improve the awareness of our ability to support work placements, industry placements in the workplace as well. So a lot of young people are looking to spend a week or a month with us to do, get some experience. We want to do more of that too, so that, we're engaging with people at the early stages of their career. And our resources, well, you've seen some pretty pictures today on screen, but we intend to improve that further over time and as funding becomes more available. When you speak to the graduates that are going to present in just a moment, they will also talk about where we are as far as FCC is concerned, and we are a global company too. So, the opportunities for job swaps with our counterparts, our colleagues in different areas of the world, that's what we need to be working on as well, sharing that best practice, bringing it back home, seeing who's doing what and how we can adopt the best ways of doing things. We also like job swaps internally as well to upskill individuals too. We're improving our training aids using different technologies, AI, and all sorts of stuff that is really interesting, a little bit beyond me, I must admit. But we've got some really good people on board that are looking into that and bringing us into the most modern techniques as well. And what else next? The world is our oyster, but it's the key message today is that the waste industry is a really valuable career, a lifelong career that we open up to those who show that interest, who show that drive to be the best that they can be. So do give us a look. Whenever possible, get onto our websites, have a little look at what we do, and don't dismiss us. Watch out for our vacancies, and hopefully we'll see some of you in the future. Okay, next slide, please. I think it's the last one here. So just to repeat, are you ready to create that greener future? Well, so are we, and we'd love you to be on board with us. Okay, last slide before we hand over to the grads. Thank you. So Any questions is what I thought I would look for. There's nothing on the Q&A as yet, so I'm going to hand back to Stephen and on to our graduates. Thank you for listening.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. So in the interest of time, we've kind of gone slightly over there, but we'll push on straight into your graduates. So back over to you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hi, so my name's Jason Taylor. I'm a health and safety advisor at Lincolnshire EFW, which is one of our currently 8 energy from waste plants that we have in the UK. I was recently on the graduate programme from September 2022 to March this year, and then obviously from then on I've then got the full-time placement at Lincoln, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. So that's me. There's also Brett Chapman. He's also on the call with us today. He's another graduate. Brett, you just want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, yeah, I'm Brett. I'm a graduate based down at our RE3 PFI recycling contract in Reading. I was on the same sort of program as Jason, but I did slightly different. I didn't do the FW, I was in recycling, and then I worked as part of the environment team during my placements.
Brilliant.
So, I was just going to say, if we go to the next slide, I'll carry on.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, so just a little bit about who we are. Who is FCC Environment? So for anybody who doesn't know, we're one of the UK's leading recycling and waste management companies. We currently employ over 4,222 people across the UK, and we operate a wide range of waste management sites. So as Brett alluded to, that includes recycling sites, landfill, energy from waste, collection, and so on and so on. Every day we minimize the amount of waste that ends up at landfill by transforming it into valuable resources. So just a few figures to throw at you. So we recycle up to 1.5 million tons of waste per year, and our energy from waste facilities generate up to 167 megawatts of green energy. We believe it's possible to be a thriving and successful business while also reducing our impact on the natural environment. Next slide, please. Thank you. So yeah, so we do, as I've just touched on before there, we operate in 5 key areas. So we got the recycling services, which is where Brett is at RE3 in Reading at the moment. We've got energy from waste, which is the sector that I'm in currently, which is all about basically reducing waste to landfill by burning waste and therefore producing renewable energy off the back of it. So essentially taking the waste that you can't recycle, your household waste, bringing it to an EFW site, and then we essentially, through various different quite complex processes, we that waste is then burnt to create superheated steam, which is then pushed along the process to drive a turbine, which then generates electricity for the national grid. Obviously, we conduct waste processing, as I've touched on, through landfill, soils, and quarry facilities. We look at business waste solutions, so obviously dealing with some of the biggest, most recognizable businesses in the UK. And lastly, we also look into land development. So we look into other areas of sustainable development where appropriate across all of our sites. Any questions at the moment? Because that's kind of a bit of an overview about the business and what we do as a business. No questions up to now? No? All right, so we'll carry on. No problem. So just a couple of numbers to throw at you there. So yeah, like you say, we've got over 4,000 employees now. This time last year, or around that, or when me and Brett finished the graduate scheme, we had just over 2,000. But we recently acquired another waste management business, which is now integrated into our business. So that's, you know, almost doubled the number of employees we have. From an energy from waste standpoint, we've went from 5 energy from waste plants to 8 now. So the fleet is ever growing, as you can imagine. We are one of the UK's most trusted resource and waste management businesses. We've got over 100 contracts in approximately 138 local authorities. And again, we recycle more than 1.5 million tons of waste each year. So yeah, if just the next slide there, if you don't mind. Thank you. So yeah, so in terms of the graduate scheme, as Brett touched on, it is an 18-month graduate scheme. Brett did the stereotypical 9-month split. So he did 9 months at a landfill site and then 9 months at a recycling centre. So he got kind of an exposure of both, which was really good for him. My graduate scheme was slightly different. So mine was bespoke health and safety. So it was specifically health and safety driven, mine. So I started off at one of our energy from waste plants called Miller Hill, which is up in Edinburgh, which is the picture on the right-hand side of your screen there. So I was there under the health and safety manager for approximately the first, give or take, 15 months of the graduate scheme. And then I was moved down to Lincoln to be the full health and safety advisor, which was towards the end of the graduate scheme there. So yeah, like you say, you'll be involved in numerous site projects just across the graduate scheme alone. You visit a number of sites across the UK to broaden your understanding of the business. So what was really good during my graduate scheme, you were really encouraged to go and see. So even though I was in the energy from waste division, you were encouraged to go to different parts of the business, see different sites, and you kind of got a really good feel for how the business operates, and you kind of were encouraged to move outside of the division that you were in, which was really good. Obviously, as Gay already touched on, or Brett, sorry, you undertake 3 graduate presentations throughout the course of the graduate scheme. The first one was on health and safety, which was obviously ideal for me because that's what I was doing at the time, still am. And then the one in the middle was all to do with environmental improvements. And then towards the end of the graduate scheme, we did a sort of future business idea presentation. All of those are to the board of directors. So it's a really good opportunity to sort of network yourself across the business, get your name out there, get really good exposure around the business. And throughout the graduate scheme, it just gives you a really good idea of where you might fit in and where you would be particularly interested to go within the business in terms of divisions. So from my standpoint, I thought it was quite unique. I think it's quite unique that within the first 3 months of being with the business, you're able to meet sort of the board of directors across the various departments, including the CEO as well. And that's quite an informal process around the presentation itself. So you kind of get to have a sit down, have a meal, and then obviously you go through the presentations, which give you really good oversight of the business and how it works. So yeah, that was brilliant. Then obviously, provided everything goes well on the graduate scheme, you will then put into a full placement, or you get a job off the back of it, basically, which is what I'm doing now. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the graduate scheme, really. Next slide, if you don't mind. Yes, this is just from me specifically. So as I've already sort of touched on, my graduate scheme was health and safety bespoke. So we started with a 2-week induction. So myself, Brett, and 3 of the other graduates, we had a 2-week induction around in Doncaster, which was basically where the head office is. Like I said, this involved an introduction to the business and its divisions, some group work, some short presentations, and the initial 2 weeks just to kind of get us up and running. And this, like I said, this gave us an opportunity to visit a few sites across the various divisions. We visited one of our AFWs, we visited a quarry, a landfill site, and a recycling facility. So regardless of which area you were going to end up in, it gave you a really good overview and a really good perspective of how we work within the waste hierarchy within the business, which was obviously really good. Gave us a unique perspective on how the business is run and how this is incorporated into the overall business model. Like I said, we met several members of the training team throughout the process, as well as meeting important figures throughout the business who were really quite open and quite honest to just, discuss their roles and what they entailed, which is really good for us, kind of just starting out type of thing. After that initial 2-week induction, I made my way to Miller Hill. Like I said, that's one of our AFWs just outside of Edinburgh. I was under the health and safety manager on that site from October 22 to February 24, in which time I was involved in various different projects. So we have an annual shutdown at each of our AFWs. I was heavily involved in the organisation and development of that. Make sure that everything was safe, make sure all the permits were out on time, make sure everyone was obviously working to their risk assessments and making sure that they were doing everything correctly. Various other things such as toolbox talks. I was able to conduct my own training, do my own audits and inspections. I was able to develop our site risk assessments with the guys on the shop floor, which was great. I was able to present various safety campaigns across the site, and a lot of it was very much collaboration with the guys and girls on the shop floor, which was the thing that I kind of enjoyed the most about it, really. To be honest, my time at Miller Hill allowed me to integrate myself with people who were very, very safety conscious people. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on this call, I genuinely mean it. Safety is definitely seen as a primary concern within the business, and it allows us an opportunity to improve, which is why we are so proactive in reporting on near misses on a regular basis. And it also allowed me, it kind of exposed me to something called process safety. So a lot of the processes we work on in the Energy from Waste division are obviously quite complex. You get involved in elements of chemistry, mechanical engineering, electricity, a little bit of environmental management. And even though I was kind of, I'm a health and safety advisor on site, you get involved in so many different aspects of the process. So you're kind of always learning. Every day is a school day, as I like to say. So it is really, really thoroughly enjoyable.
Jason,
Yeah, so-
my apologies.
Sorry.
I'm going to have to. We're going to probably have to finish there pretty quickly. And
It's okay.
I'm really sorry. Just in the interest of making sure we get a good balance across the
That's
industries
okay.
as well, Brett. I'm not going to be able to come to you either on this one. But do you want to just finish off your key points, and then we'll I'll have to move over to Melanie. I do apologise most
absolutely
sincerely.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not a problem.
And again, Brett, I do apologise as well. Appreciating
fine.
the fact that you put some stuff together. So, Brett, do you want to finish off, please? My apologies.
Yeah. Sorry, Brett, you take the lead. Sorry about that. Thanks.
So yeah, in short, the graduate program, you get exposure to all different areas of the business. You can have the specialized things like Jason and health and safety. There's water treatment, engineering, or you can do a bit more of a broader one like I did, where you're a bit in the environment team, a bit in the operations team in recycling, but get an overarching view. Probably the biggest benefits are there's a wide variety of training. You can specialize in what you want to, and your opinions, your ideas and innovation is taken on board seriously, and you're allowed to run with your own projects. And yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest highlights of the whole scheme. Yeah,
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. I do apologise most sincerely. Very, very useful to hear from you. And it's such a shame because I think the important part of the session is obviously listening from your perspective. But look, I will have to move on. So if I could just move on to the next slide, please. And if I can bring in Madeline from Scottish Power, just talk about kind of the graduate scheme from the Scottish Power perspective. Madeline, over to you.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks, guys, for letting us be here. It's a real pleasure for us. Usually you would have our early careers manager, Rachel Hollinger, do this. This is her absolute her joy, but unfortunately she's been on annual leave, so you've got me. So basically, as strategic resourcing manager, basically my job is to look after, for Scottish Power and the company, look after our long-term resourcing strategy, of which a good part of that is you guys, the graduates. Okay, so I'm going to be really quick here so I can pass you on to Shanice, who's just completed our graduate program, as she will be much more exciting to listen to than I will. Okay, but I'm going to just run you through a couple of key points about the different things that we offer here at Scottish Power, particularly tying into what Steve said before about the number of people we're going to need coming into our industry across the next few years, and just the volume that we're going to need, particularly in that trainee space. So next slide, please. So we, when you think about power and you think about engineering, it's, you tend to think we're a pretty narrow industry, but actually there's a huge range of opportunities at Scottish Power across a huge variety of disciplines. And we have three distinct businesses: our customer business that serves electricity and gas in people's homes, our energy networks business that looks after transmission and distribution areas across Scotland and England, and also our renewables business where we build solar, onshore wind, offshore wind, and a whole range, and invest in a whole range of other technologies. So at Scottish Power, we have a huge variety of programs that you can actually you can do. Shanice, who's going to talk to you in a second, was one of came through our Master Scholars program. So we sponsored her to do her Masters at the University in Edinburgh, and then she came into our graduate program that way. So there's a lot of different ways. We actually run a couple of different programs. So we run a local program in the UK, and we also do a global program where there's global placements with within one of our other companies globally. So we're owned by the Iberdrola company, and they have a variety of subsidiaries globally, which is a really great network to tap into. In terms of across the UK, we have main locations within Greater Glasgow, Prenton, and London, but we do actually operate in a vast majority of areas across the UK. So have a look, and there's definitely some opportunities for you guys there as well. Next slide, please. So just to give you the spiel, because we always want to drive people to our graduate programs. That's really what we want to be doing. So actually our applications are open now. Okay, so if you have a look, if you go to scottishpower.com and have a look at the early careers section of our webpage, the online applications are open now, and you'll be able to see the whole list of opportunities that we have available next year. So we actually have over 100 graduate positions for 2025 and 325 trainee positions in total, including higher skills apprenticeships and traditional apprenticeships and graduate apprenticeships as well. So please, there are opportunities for everyone across the different ranges. So have a look, okay? This little timeline here just gives you a bit of an overview of the process in terms of actually how we do our assessments and get people in. And then we have a start date of the 15th of September next year. So that's something to look for. Our programs are 2 years in duration, okay? And we tend to do about 4 placements within that, but it can vary, or 3 years for accounting, because we actually tie it into you getting being qualified with the relevant associate body, okay? And we start our salaries at 34,000 and have a £3,000 sign-on bonus. So that's sort of also to help anyone who is moving from a different location or different areas, to make sure that you guys are supported through that process. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over to Shanice, and she'll be able to talk you through actually what it was like on our program.
Hi everyone, I'll try to be quick. So give you back your lunch. So you can go to the next slide. The accent, it's from Canada. If people are confused, I'm not from the UK. So as Madeline mentioned, I moved to the UK as an Iberdrola Master's Scholar to do my Master's at the University of Edinburgh. I joined the graduate scheme in September of 2022, and I've actually just finished this September, and I've started my permanent role as a cable design engineer for offshore wind. Next slide, please. So for Scottish Power Renewables, the offshore graduate scheme, I did 4 6-month placements in 4 different teams. So one in inter-array cables, main electrical equipment, and O&M, and then wind turbine transport and installation. My background is electrical engineering, so that's kind of why they're tailored that way. I was fortunate enough to be a global graduate, so I got to do one of my placements at what are international locations. Mine was actually in Berlin for my final placement, working on our German projects. I was actually there for the Euros, so that was ideal. Next slide, please. So I thought I'd kind of go through what I worked on in my different placements, because honestly, you hear the word graduate scheme and you're not sure what people are doing. So this first placement, the first month was actually me just learning about Scottish Power, where files are, how to get to the office, etc. But then I worked on the inter-array cables team. So you could see from this nice little infographic at the bottom, inter-array cables are the cables connecting either wind turbine to wind turbine or wind turbine to the offshore substation. So I worked kind of designing the cable system, and I worked on our East Anglia 3 project most part. I got to visit quite a few cable factories, which was really exciting. Lots of stuff about cables you don't think about, and did a lot of cable rating calculations in Python according to some fun standards to read. So yeah, next slide. The next placement I did was in main electrical equipment. So that's you can see on our nice infographic at the bottom as well. So that was our offshore substation and our onshore substation. And I worked on EA3 as well. So it was really nice to kind of see the different parts of one project. And so in the pictures here, you can see on the left-hand side is our offshore converter station being moved from Romania to Norway. Absolutely massive. It's bigger than you can imagine. And then on the right is just one transformer being moved to our onshore substation. So you can see the logistics involved with just moving the parts, let alone design. So I was mostly involved as a graduate organizing and attending the factory acceptance tests for the main pieces, so it's our transformers, our switch gears, our reactor, etc. And then looking at our design progress and manufacturing progress and kind of keeping track of that and letting our senior project managers know. And of course, reviewing single line diagrams, the usual graduate activities. But yeah. Next slide. So the next placement was a bit unique. You kind of, as you go through your graduate scheme, can tailor your placements to what you're interested in. So this one I wanted to get an O&M perspective, but I kind of wanted an O&M perspective from all of our assets. So I did 4 mini placements. I did cables, MEQ, turbines, and SCADA, all but from an O&M asset management perspective. So I looked at our maintenance and inspection requirements, as well as some spares strategies. And then I mostly looked at fault investigations, so looking at her historic data and seeing how our wind farm equipment is performing during fault events, such as like a fault ride through or something like that, or blackouts. This one's exciting because I went offshore for the first time. I completed all the training. I did my first transfer. So there's me cheesing in the bottom right-hand corner, asking my colleagues to awkwardly take the picture. And the left-hand side, you can kind of see the CTV in the bottom corner pushing up against the OSS. And so you do that transfer there. It was great. The crew was really great. It was my first transfer, and they were really patient with me and made sure I was very safe the whole time. But yeah, next slide. So this one was really exciting. So this was my international rotation in Berlin. It was great because there was also 8 other graduates going to Berlin at the same time. So we kind of got to explore the new city and new country together. So during this time, I actually worked in the Baltic Sea on our Baltic Eagle turbine installation campaign. You could see this nice, very sped up video of a turbine being installed. So I would work on the jackup vessel for 2 weeks at a time. You could see the vessel there in the top right picture. And instead of a boat transferring, I got to take a helicopter. So you can see me waving maybe from the helicopter window in that picture. So it was exciting. I got to do my helicopter underwater egress training for that one. So that was exciting. For this one, as a graduate, my main role was just to learn. So I witnessed installation activities and acted more as a communication point between the vessel and the back office, and just making sure that everything was being done safely, that everyone was following our health and safety protocols, etc. And then the next slide. I just wanted to kind of brag about the benefits of a graduate scheme within Scottish Power and within the energy industry. Kind of 3 main benefits. You're learning from experts in the field. The energy and utility industry is an innovative, fast-moving industry. And as a graduate, your kind of main goal as a graduate is to learn from everyone and everything. And so you get to sit down with people who are leaders in the field and learn from them and absorb information, and their objective is to teach you. So I think that's an incredible opportunity. A second main benefit is that you're getting a rounded basis of knowledge. You'll find that if you kind of go into your permanent role, you'll be siloed in your team and you won't really get to see what other teams are doing. So for me, jumping from different teams, but also jumping from different stages of a project, it's helped me bring more to the table now into my permanent role. And then building your network. Not only are you rotating between teams and meeting more people that way, but you've also got an incredible graduate network because you're working with graduates that aren't just engineers. So you're meeting graduates outside your field of knowledge and you'll be able to learn from each other. I still message graduates today asking about sustainability policies and such that otherwise I wouldn't have access to. But yeah, that was the quick version there. I think next slide, but that's the end of it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for coming in and speaking. Unfortunately, we ran slightly off track early on there, but look, that's absolutely fine. Really great to hear from you. If people can hang on just for a few minutes, I'd really like to get a few questions in. So we have had a question come in from somebody saying, I'm currently studying an MSc in civil engineering from the University of East London. I've completed my modules and currently on my placement year. My placement year will end in May 2025. Am I eligible to apply for the graduate scheme or early career? And I believe that was directed towards FCC. I do not have any experience in the UK. So any thoughts?
Hello, yes. As with all employment, there are certain things that we have to stipulate, making sure that you know, you're eligible to work in the UK and all of those types of things. But absolutely, yes, we would welcome all applications, and we would look at those on individual merit as well. So yeah, get your application form in, and good luck with it, is what I would say. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks very much. In terms of your, we have a hand up. Akira, my apologies. I'm not sure if we can bring you off mute. Let's have a look. Let's see if the technology allows us to. Allow mic. Here we go. There you go.
Thanks so much.
There you go.
Thanks so much. I'm still on the question regarding visas. Are these companies able to sponsor candidates who are on graduate visas at the moment to be able to enroll on the graduate programs?
We do.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
So we will, so I mean, there's, you know, there's a question about eligibility to work. If you do
Yeah.
not have eligibility to work, Scottish Power
Mhm.
will support you through that
Okay.
process where we can. Obviously, there's some legal things within that and immigration
That's right.
and salary caps, but actually, but apply, and we will
Look into it.
support you where we can.
Okay. Cheers.
Thank you. Okay. Excellent. I've got one more question here. What would be your career highlights to date?
Who's that to? Is that to one of the
Graduates?
graduates?
Any graduate, please do answer.
Jason, are
Well,
you there, or Alyssa? Jump up, speak up if you can.
I'm still here, yeah, but I'm going to give somebody else an opportunity to speak for once.
Is Alyssa there? Don't know whether Alyssa is still there, whether she might have had to.
Alyssa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Alyssa, what are your highlights
any
for
thoughts?
your career?
I think for me, I spent a lot of time traveling around different sites up and down the UK. So I really enjoyed that. Meeting new people, like out on site that I wouldn't probably normally meet. So as a graduate in FCC, you get a mentor on the senior management team. So that allowed me to sort of like attend meetings that if I'd have joined FCC through a different route, I wouldn't have been able to attend. So for example, like a legal meeting or something when I'm not in the legal team. So stuff like that.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks very much. Any others? Any other comments? No?
I was just going to say mine was definitely getting to go offshore for 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
That's an amazing experience. You
I've
don't
got to
realize
say,
how
I love
big
that film
the trees are.
footage of the wind turbine being put together. That was fantastic. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, good. All right. Well, we have another hand up. Let me just enable a mic. Okay. I'm just trying to grab the name. My apologies. Is it Nisma? Hi, Nisma. You can come off mic. You just need to press your mic button. No. Okay. No, I'll come back to you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay. So
Hi there.
press the wrong button. Hi. I'm just coming on, and I really, really so much look forward to this webinar, but because I was a little bit busy at work, so I missed probably the entirety of the webinar. I'm just thinking, is there like any recording or anything to go
Yes,
through? Or
the recording will be available afterwards as well. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, because I really look forward to this. But I think I just is there any way to catch up now or anything, or is there any way I can get across to use if I go to the webinar or something?
I can't hear you very well. I do apologise. Can you say that again?
Is there any way to get across to use after I might have watched the recording?
Yeah, we'll put the recording up on online, so you'll be able to access the recording after the meeting.
Right. Where can I access it?
We should be able to send a link out. Joe, is that correct? Send a link out to everybody that's on the webinar.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll put it on the website, and then I'll share the link with everybody that's come on online, so they can watch back and then take any notes they need to.
Okay. And if I have any questions, how can I get across to anyone to just get some clarity?
If you send questions directly into the team here at Energy and Utility Skills, then we'll farm those out accordingly to our speakers, and then we'll hopefully get a response back for you. Is that all right?
Okay, so I can just send my questions through to the email address that I receive.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Frank, I'm going to come to you next.
Thank you for allowing me to talk. I want to ask 2 questions in regards to security clearance when it comes to cybersecurity. And that's because I got a cybersecurity, I was shortlisted for Scottish Power cybersecurity job. And because of security clearance, it became a barrier. Secondly, your threshold when it comes to your graduate role is 34,000. And I mean, the salary and the threshold for sponsorship when it comes to giving work visa is 38,000. So what do you say about those 2 areas?
So I'll take the first one first. So in terms of like NSV, national security vetting, so what I would say to that is that unfortunately that's essentially out of our hands and it's up to the UK government. So, you know, and someone like myself and Shanice, who are both on this call, we both wouldn't pass sections of national security vetting as well because we're not UK citizens. So, you know, there's certain things with that aspect in cybersecurity roles that actually it's out of our control, and we have to comply with the NIS that the government puts in place. So I would say any further questions about that you have would be directed specifically to any managers recruiting for cybersecurity that you can find on our website. And I think we've already answered the other question, but we do support sponsorship where appropriate of applicants who do not have the right to work in the UK where we can. Okay, so you can find details of that on our website.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Madeline. Okay, thanks, Frank. And last question then from Michael. Let me just unmute your mic. Allow Mike. My apologies, Michael. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, got you.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for the today's webinar. My question goes to Scottish Power. I've actually completed my online application, but I haven't been given access to proceed for the online test. When will I be given access, please?
So usually that moves through to an automatic section once you've completed certain items, but applications only just opened as well. So if you can leave your email address with the energy and utility guys that you're registered with, I can respond back to you with what that time frame looks like and ask our early careers manager. She's on annual leave at the moment, but I can get a time frame off her. Okay.
Thank you very much, Madeline. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thanks, Madeline. Much appreciated. So look, I'll draw the session to an end, but a couple of things really have jumped out at me. The opportunities are significant. They're huge. We know that there is a huge challenge over the next 5 years in terms of resourcing this transition to net zero. Government have some very ambitious targets. Just yesterday came out in the budget, a lot of investments in many areas of that critical national infrastructure. So there are roles out there, and we do need people coming in as both graduates, apprentices, people transferring across from other industries. So please do keep an eye out for those roles. All of you hopefully are registered as part of that talent pool on energy and utility careers and jobs. So I encourage you to keep looking on that website at the jobs which have been advertised. And as I say, if you do want to see the full presentation, the link will be sent out if you missed the first part. But look, and please do stay in touch. I will close the session there just by saying thank you to all of you for joining us, especially our presenters and our graduates. I do apologise for cutting some of the graduates off there halfway through, but look, I think there were some really good discussions which were had. Thank you for the questions which were posed as well, and I shall bring the session to a close. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.